Sarah Martinez had always been the quiet one in her family. While her three brothers dominated conversations at dinner tables with tales of their athletic achievements, she preferred listening from the corner, sketching in her notebook. At 23, she worked as a graphic designer for a small marketing firm in Denver, spending her days creating advertisements for local businesses. Her life was predictable, comfortable, and entirely unremarkable. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday morning, mixed between bills and grocery store flyers. Her college roommate Jessica was getting married in Phoenix, and the wedding reception would be held at the prestigious Desert Winds Country Club. Sarah almost declined. She had never been comfortable at fancy events, and the thought of making small talk with Jessica's wealthy in-laws made her stomach churn. But Jessica had been her closest friend during their struggling college years, sharing instant noodles and late-night study sessions. Sarah couldn't miss this moment. She bought a simple black dress from a department store clearance rack and practiced conversations in her bathroom mirror. The flight to Phoenix felt longer than usual as she rehearsed responses to inevitable questions about her job, her love life, and her plans for the future. She had prepared modest answers that wouldn't draw too much attention to herself. The Desert Winds Country Club exceeded her expectations. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings, and perfectly manicured golf courses stretched beyond floor-to-ceiling windows. Wedding guests mingled in designer clothing, discussing business deals and exotic vacations. Sarah felt like an imposter in her discount dress, clutching a small gift bag containing a picture frame she had decorated herself. During the cocktail hour, she positioned herself near the dessert table, hoping to blend into the background. The conversations around her buzzed with mentions of stock portfolios, European trips, and children attending private schools. She smiled politely when spoken to, but mostly observed, taking mental notes of how different this world felt from her own. The country club's general manager, Robert Kellerman, made his rounds greeting important guests. He had been running Desert Winds for 15 years and prided himself on knowing every detail about the club's operations. When he noticed Sarah standing alone, he assumed she was another young professional from Jessica's college crowd. He introduced himself with the polished charm he reserved for potential new members. Sarah appreciated his kindness, but had no idea that their brief conversation would change everything. As Robert excused himself to attend to other guests, Sarah wandered toward the pro shop, curious about the golf equipment displays. She had never played golf before, but something about the precise alignment of clubs and the mathematical angles of their designs caught her designer's eye. The wedding reception proceeded beautifully. With heartfelt speeches and elegant dancing, Sarah enjoyed watching Jessica's happiness, but felt increasingly ready to return to her quiet life in Denver. She had fulfilled her obligation as a good friend and could retreat back to her comfortable anonymity. Little did anyone know that the following morning would reveal something extraordinary about the quiet guest who had spent the evening sketching golf club designs on cocktail napkins. The next morning brought an unexpected turn of events. Sarah had planned to spend a few hours by the hotel pool before her afternoon flight, but Jessica called her room at 8 o'clock with an unusual request. The wedding party was gathering for a farewell brunch at the country club, followed by what Jessica described as a fun golf activity. Several guests had canceled last minute due to early flights, and Jessica desperately needed someone to fill out the foursome for a friendly tournament. Sarah protested immediately. She had never held a golf club in her life, let alone played an actual round. The closest she had come to golf was miniature golf during childhood birthday parties. But Jessica was persistent, explaining that it wasn't about skill but about spending one last morning together. The other players were just casual golfers anyway, and everyone understood it was meant to be relaxed and enjoyable. Reluctantly, Sarah agreed, though anxiety gnawed at her stomach during the drive to Desert Winds. She imagined embarrassing herself in front of Jessica's new in-laws and their country club friends. Her hands were already sweating as she walked into the pro shop, where Jessica's cousin Mark was helping arrange rental clubs for the group. Mark Kingston had been playing golf since age 12 and considered himself quite accomplished. He held a single-digit handicap and had won several local amateur tournaments. When he learned about Sarah's complete inexperience, he offered to give her a quick lesson on the driving range before they teed off. He assumed 20 minutes of basic instruction would be sufficient to help her avoid total humiliation. On the driving range, Sarah felt clumsy and awkward as Mark demonstrated the proper stance and grip. Her first dozen swings missed the ball entirely, or sent it dribbling a few yards forward. Mark patiently adjusted her posture and explained the mechanics of the golf swing, but Sarah felt hopeless. The other members of their group watched with amused sympathy as she struggled with the fundamentals. Then something clicked. On her 15th attempt, Sarah made solid contact with the ball. It flew straight and true, landing nearly 150 yards down the range. Mark blinked in surprise and encouraged her to try again. The next shot traveled even further, with a slight draw that suggested natural hand-eye coordination. By her 30th swing, Sarah was consistently hitting the ball with authority and accuracy that shocked everyone watching. Mark had never seen such rapid improvement from a complete beginner. Sarah's background in graphic design had developed her visual spatial skills and attention to detail, qualities that translated surprisingly well to golf. She could see the target line clearly and instinctively understood how to adjust her body position to achieve different shot shapes. Her artistic training in proportion and balance gave her a natural feel for the golf swing's rhythm and timing. The other players in their group, including Jessica's father-in-law, who was a longtime club member, began gathering around the driving range to watch Sarah's remarkable progress. Word spread quickly through the clubhouse that the quiet wedding guest was displaying extraordinary natural talent. Robert Kellerman emerged from his office to see what was causing the commotion, arriving just as Sarah launched a drive that carried well over 200 yards with perfect accuracy. As they prepared to head to the first tee, Sarah felt a mixture of excitement and nervous energy she had never experienced before. The golf clubs felt comfortable in her hands now, and she was eager to see how her newfound skills would translate to the actual golf course. None of them could have predicted that they were about to witness something that would become legendary at Desert Winds Country Club. The first hole at Desert Winds Country Club was a straightforward par 4, designed to ease players into their round. Sarah stepped onto the tee box with borrowed clubs and a nervous smile, while her playing partners offered encouragement. Mark had explained basic course etiquette during their walk from the driving range, but Sarah still felt overwhelmed by the pristine fairway stretching ahead of her. Her drive sailed down the middle of the fairway, drawing appreciative nods from the group. What happened next surprised everyone, including Sarah herself. Her approach shot landed softly on the green, rolling to within 12 feet of the pin. Mark, who had been playing this course for 5 years, rarely hit his approach shots that close from the same distance. The other players exchanged glances that mixed amazement with disbelief. Sarah's putting stroke proved equally impressive. Without any formal instruction, she read the green slope correctly and rolled the ball directly into the center of the cup for birdie. The group erupted in cheers, though Sarah didn't fully understand the significance of scoring 1 under par on her very first hole of golf. She had simply focused on getting the ball into the hole as efficiently as possible. The second hole brought more of the same. Sarah's natural athleticism and visual skills allowed her to navigate the course with remarkable precision. She made par on the challenging second hole, followed by another birdie on the third. By the fourth hole, other groups on the course had begun to take notice of the commotion surrounding Sarah's foursome. Players were stopping their own rounds to watch the unknown woman who was playing golf like she had been doing it for years. Robert Kellerman received a radio call from one of his course marshals, reporting unusual activity on the front nine. When he learned that Jessica's friend was shooting significantly under par, he decided to follow the group personally. He arrived at the 6th tee just as Sarah was preparing for her most challenging shot of the day. The hole featured a water hazard and required precise distance control. To avoid both the pond and a deep bunker guarding the green, Sarah studied the shot with the same analytical approach she used when designing marketing layouts. She visualized the ball's flight path, considered the wind direction, and selected what felt like the appropriate club based on her limited but rapidly developing instincts. Her shot cleared the water easily and landed pin-high 15 feet from the hole. The growing gallery of spectators applauded as if they were watching a professional tournament. Word of Sarah's remarkable performance began spreading throughout the clubhouse via text messages and phone calls. Members who had finished their rounds lingered to hear updates about the mysterious woman who was potentially shooting the round of her life. The club's longtime golf professional, Danny Morrison, emerged from his lesson schedule to witness the phenomenon firsthand. Danny had been teaching golf for 28 years and had never seen anything like Sarah's natural ability combined with her complete lack of formal training. Her swing had minor technical flaws that should have resulted in inconsistent ball striking. Yet somehow she was producing shots that would make seasoned players jealous. He began following the group, taking mental notes about Sarah's unique approach to the game. As they reached the 9th hole, the halfway point of their round, Sarah had compiled a score that seemed impossible for someone playing golf for the first time. She had made 4 birdies and 5 pars through 8 holes, putting her at 4 under par. The existing course record for women, set by professional golfer Monica Chen in 2013, was 68 strokes, or 4 under par for the entire 18-hole round. Sarah was matching that pace through just the first half of her round. The pressure began mounting as more people gathered to watch Sarah's historic performance. She remained largely unaware of the significance of her achievement, focusing simply on each shot as it came. Her calm demeanor and natural concentration were serving her well, but the real test would come on the more challenging back 9 holes where the course record had traditionally been won or lost. The 10th hole marked the beginning of Desert Wind's notorious back 9, where the course designers had placed their most challenging obstacles. Sarah's growing gallery now included nearly 30 spectators, including several club members who had abandoned their own rounds to witness what might be golf history in the making. The atmosphere had shifted from casual amazement to genuine anticipation of something extraordinary. Danny Morrison approached Sarah during the walk to the 10th tee, introducing himself as the head golf professional. He explained that she was currently tied with the women's course record pace and asked if she understood the significance of her performance. Sarah's eyes widened as she learned about Monica Chen's record, which had stood unchallenged for over a decade. The realization that she might actually break a long-standing record added a new dimension of pressure to her round. The 10th hole demanded a precise tee shot between 2 large oak trees, followed by an uphill approach to a green surrounded by sand bunkers. Sarah took extra time studying her options, feeling the weight of expectations for the first time. Her drive found the narrow fairway, though not with the same effortless confidence she had displayed earlier. The added pressure was beginning to affect her natural rhythm. Her approach shot landed safely on the green but rolled well past the pin, leaving her with a challenging 30-foot downhill putt. The crowd watched in tense silence as Sarah lined up her putt, taking several practice strokes to gauge the speed of the sloping green. Her ball tracked toward the hole with perfect pace but slipped just past the right edge, resulting in her first bogey of the day. The gallery offered supportive applause, though Sarah felt disappointed with what seemed like a missed opportunity. Mark tried to keep the mood light as they walked to the 11th tee, reminding Sarah that she was still playing incredibly well for her first round of golf. But Sarah's competitive instincts, dormant for so long, had been awakened by the possibility of achieving something remarkable. She was no longer just trying to avoid embarrassment. She genuinely wanted to break Monica Chen's record. The 11th hole offered a chance for redemption, with its shorter distance and more forgiving landing area. Sarah's drive split the fairway perfectly, leaving her with a comfortable wedge shot to the green. She took her time with the approach, remembering the smooth tempo that had served her so well on the front 9. Her ball landed softly and rolled to within 6 feet of the pin, giving her an excellent birdie opportunity. The putt looked straightforward, but Sarah had learned to respect the subtle breaks in these greens. She crouched behind the ball, studying the line from multiple angles like she had watched professional golfers do on television. When she finally struck the putt, it rolled true into the center of the cup. The gallery erupted in cheers as Sarah pumped her fist, experiencing the rush of competitive achievement for the first time in her adult life. Over the next 4 holes, Sarah played steady, calculated golf that demonstrated remarkable course management for someone with no formal training. She made 3 more pars and 1 additional birdie, maintaining her position at 4 under par with 3 holes remaining. The crowd had grown to over 50 people, including several local golf writers who had received tips about the unfolding story. Robert Kellerman contacted Monica Chen's former caddy, who confirmed that the record had been set during ideal weather conditions with perfectly maintained course conditions. Sarah was playing under similar circumstances, making her potential achievement even more legitimate. The excitement throughout the clubhouse was palpable as word spread that they might witness the breaking of one of the club's most cherished records. As Sarah prepared for the 16th tee, she could feel her heart racing in a way it never had during her quiet life as a graphic designer. 3 holes remained between her and immortality at Desert Winds Country Club. The final stretch would determine whether this remarkable day would end in triumph or serve as simply an amazing story about what might have been. The 16th hole at Desert Winds featured the course's signature challenge, a par 3 over water with wind that could change direction without warning. Monica Chen had made bogey here during her record-setting round, meaning Sarah needed to play the final 3 holes in 1 under par to tie the record or 2 under par to break it. The pressure was unlike anything she had ever experienced, but Sarah felt strangely calm as she selected her club. Danny Morrison watched Sarah's pre-shot routine with professional interest. Despite having no formal training, she had developed consistent habits that would serve any golfer well under pressure. She took 2 practice swings, visualized her shot, and committed fully to her swing. The ball flew directly at the pin, landing 12 feet from the hole and spinning back slightly toward the cup. The gallery's excitement was infectious as Sarah lined up her birdie putt. She had been putting exceptionally well all day, but this putt carried more weight than any shot she had attempted. The green sloped subtly from right to left, and Sarah accounted for the break perfectly. Her ball rolled smoothly into the center of the cup, giving her a 1-shot lead over the course record with 2 holes remaining. News of Sarah's performance had spread beyond the golf course through social media posts from spectators. Local television stations began dispatching camera crews to Desert Winds, though they would arrive too late to capture the conclusion of her round. The pressure of potential media attention added another layer of complexity to Sarah's situation, but she remained focused on the immediate task of finishing her round. The 17th hole was a long par 4 that typically required 2 excellent shots to reach the green in regulation. Sarah's drive found the fairway but came up shorter than her previous tee shots, suggesting that fatigue and nerves were beginning to affect her performance. She faced a challenging approach shot of nearly 160 yards to a green, guarded by bunkers on both sides. Sarah took extra time selecting her club, consulting with Mark about the distance and wind conditions. Her approach shot started toward the green but drifted slightly right, landing in the greenside bunker. The crowd groaned collectively, understanding that Sarah now faced her most difficult shot of the day from an unforgiving lie in the sand. She had never hit a bunker shot in her life, but Danny Morrison quickly explained the basic technique during the walk to the green. Sarah needed to hit behind the ball and let the sand carry it onto the putting surface. Her first attempt came out cleanly but rolled well past the pin, leaving her with a challenging 12-foot putt for par. The pressure was enormous as Sarah studied her par putt. A bogey here would put tremendous pressure on the final hole, requiring a birdie to tie the record. She took several practice strokes, trying to calm her nerves and recapture the smooth putting rhythm that had served her so well throughout the round. When she finally struck the ball, it tracked perfectly toward the hole and dropped in the center of the cup. The gallery exploded in celebration as Sarah's par putt found its mark. She was now 5 under par with 1 hole remaining, needing only a par on the 18th hole to break Monica Chen's 10-year-old course record. The final hole was a moderately challenging par 4 that concluded at the clubhouse, where an even larger crowd had gathered to witness the potential historic moment. Sarah felt a mixture of excitement and terror as she walked to the 18th tee. Her quiet life in Denver seemed like a distant memory as she prepared for the most important golf shot she would ever attempt. The entire membership of Desert Winds Country Club seemed to be watching, along with Jessica's wedding party and growing numbers of curious onlookers who had heard about the extraordinary events unfolding on their golf course. Robert Kellerman announced to the assembled crowd that Sarah was attempting to break a record that had stood for exactly 10 years and 43 days. The significance of the moment was not lost on anyone present, including Sarah herself, who stood on the 18th tee holding a golf club for perhaps the 100th time in her life, poised to achieve something that professional golfers had failed to accomplish for over a decade. The 18th hole stretched before Sarah like a final examination of everything she had learned during her remarkable first round of golf. The fairway was generous but featured strategic bunkers that could catch an errant drive. More importantly, the green was elevated and well protected, demanding a precise approach shot to avoid the collection areas that surrounded the putting surface. Sarah stood on the tee with over 100 people watching her every move. The crowd included members of Jessica's wedding party, longtime club members, golf course staff, and curious onlookers who had heard about the potential record-breaking performance. Even the kitchen staff had emerged from the clubhouse to witness what might be a historic moment at Desert Winds Country Club. She took several deep breaths, trying to calm her nerves and recapture the relaxed focus that had carried her through 17 holes of extraordinary golf. Mark offered words of encouragement, reminding her that she only needed a par to break the record and that she had been making pars look effortless all day. Danny Morrison stood quietly nearby, marveling at how someone with no golf experience had developed such remarkable course management skills in a single round. Sarah's drive split the fairway perfectly, drawing appreciative murmurs from the gallery. The shot left her with approximately 130 yards to the pin, a distance she had handled successfully several times during her round. But as she walked toward her ball, the magnitude of the moment began to weigh on her shoulders. She was one good shot away from achieving something that professional golfers had attempted unsuccessfully for over a decade. Her approach, shot selection, became crucial. The pin was positioned in the front portion of the green, protected by a bunker on the right side. Sarah chose a club that would give her plenty of distance, preferring to have a longer putt rather than risk coming up short in the sand. Her swing felt smooth and confident, and the ball flew directly toward the green with ideal trajectory. The shot landed safely on the putting surface and rolled toward the back of the green, leaving Sarah with approximately 25 feet for birdie. The crowd erupted in applause, understanding that she had essentially secured her place in club history. Even if she three-putted from this distance, which seemed highly unlikely given her putting performance throughout the day, she would still break Monica Chen's record by one stroke. Sarah's first putt was perfectly paced, rolling smoothly down the slope and coming to rest 3 feet from the hole. The gallery held its collective breath as she lined up what would almost certainly be the record-breaking putt. She took her time, understanding that this moment would be remembered for years to come at Desert Winds Country Club. When Sarah's final putt dropped into the cup, the celebration was immediate and overwhelming. She had completed her first round of golf in 67 strokes, breaking Monica Chen's 10-year-old course record by one shot. Club members rushed onto the green to congratulate her, while others captured the historic moment with their phones and cameras. Robert Kellerman officially announced the new course record, presenting Sarah with a commemorative scorecard that would be displayed in the clubhouse. Monica Chen herself called within hours to congratulate Sarah on the achievement, graciously acknowledging the remarkable nature of breaking a record during one's very first round of golf. The story of Sarah's record-breaking performance spread rapidly through golf media and social networks. Golf Digest featured her story in their next issue, while local television stations ran extended segments about the graphic designer who had stunned the golf world with her natural ability. Several golf equipment companies reached out with sponsorship opportunities, though Sarah ultimately decided to return to her quiet life in Denver. She did, however, take up golf as a serious hobby. Within 6 months, Sarah was competing in amateur tournaments and had reduced her handicap to scratch level. But she never forgot the magical day at Desert Winds Country Club when she walked onto a golf course as a complete unknown and left as the holder of a 10-year-old record that experts had thought might never be broken. Years later, when people asked Sarah about that incredible day, she would smile and explain that sometimes the most extraordinary moments come when we least expect them. Her record at Desert Winds still stands today, a reminder that natural talent and determination can combine to create something truly special, even when it emerges from the most unlikely circumstances.